Hi, I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, a down-the-middle explanation of world events. There's a lot of political uncertainty right now in Israel. The Middle Eastern country's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has just been formally charged with corruption. And that news broke a day after his political rival, Benny Gantz, was unable to form a government. Israel has had two elections this year. After the first one in April, incumbent Prime Minister Netanyahu was expected to serve a record fifth term as the nation's leader. But there was a political deadlock, and neither that election nor the one in September gave him enough support in Israel's Knesset, its parliament, for him to govern the country. His rival, Benny Gantz, was also unable to win enough support in the Knesset to be prime minister. He announced that on Wednesday. And things got more complicated Thursday when Israel's attorney general said that Netanyahu was being charged with bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. One thing the prime minister is accused of doing is accepting gifts from businessmen in other countries. Another is abusing his power to get more positive coverage in the news. Netanyahu, who's denied doing anything wrong, says the charges amount to an attempted coup. He blames his political opponents and the media for it and says investigators weren't after the truth, they were after him. But this is the first time in Israel's history that a sitting prime minister has been charged in criminal investigations, and no one's sure what's going to happen next. There's no law that says Netanyahu needs to resign, and he's refused his opponents' calls for him to do so. And the legal process there could take months or even years to play out. But will the prime minister be able to govern and fight his case in court at the same time? Is a third election in the same year ahead for Israel? These are some questions Israelis are asking in very uncertain times. 10-second trivia. Which of these events has been held every 4 years since 1930 with only two exceptions? Winter Olympic Games, Summer Olympic Games, UN General Assembly, or FIFA World Cup? The first World Cup was held in 1930. There were two canceled for World War II. The next one will be in Qatar in 2022.
What for you are the standout bits of this stadium?
Actually the design, the actual design and how it's relevant to the Qatari culture, to the local Al-Wakra, Al-Ukair city, which is usually they used to for pearl diving, for fishing, which is the roof and the reflection of the roof.
In this era of concerns about the environment and using too much power unnecessarily,
yes.
How does it work?
You can see the big volume of this stadium. We don't cool even 1/10 of that big volume. We only cool about 2 meters where the people are. We only cool about 3 meters where people play. So the rest is whatever was there. So all what we do is we pull, similar to your hotel room, we pull the air from the space, cool it and reissue it again, and then re-cool it and reissue it again. This technology is called recirculation.
Got milk? No, say an increasing number of American refrigerators, and that's why Dean Foods, America's largest milk producer, just filed for bankruptcy. Sales of cow's milk have been decreasing for years. According to Nielsen, an information and data firm, $12 billion worth of cow's milk was sold between last October and this October. It was $15 billion worth in 2015. Skim, 1%, 2%, all of them fell in sales. Dean Foods says this is why it's entered bankruptcy protection, which can keep the company in business while it reorganizes its debt and looks for a buyer. Meanwhile, sales of milk alternatives like oat milk and soy milk are increasing, though they're still only a fraction of cow's milk sales. But it's those numbers going in the wrong direction that led to problems for the 94-year-old U.S. producer. Does this mean you won't be able to find milk? No. Walmart has built its own dairy plant instead of selling Dean. And other dairy products like butter and cheese are still seeing higher sales. Our next great big story. Some people like milk alternatives, some like house alternatives. You've heard of tiny houses, shipping container houses, yurts. An aeronautics enthusiast who lives in a forest near Portland, Oregon, has taken a Greek passenger plane from the 1960s and made a home out of it. So have a look and decide whether this would fly for you.
Jetliners are basically flying homes. It's a sealed pressure canister. It's incredibly strong. It will last practically forever. I'm Bruce Campbell, and you're inside the cockpit area of my 727 home. I can appreciate that some folks might feel a bit isolated or that it might simply strike them as an unusual living environment. But for me, it's always felt completely natural. The entry is via the aft air stairs, which are retractable and are retracted whenever I leave for an extended time. The aft area of the aircraft now is my living space. The two natural aft lavatories are both functional. Sleeping quarters are there in the form of a simple futon sofa and a bench where I spend lots of time embellishing elements of the aircraft. Jetliners retire at the rate of about 3 per day. For the most part, I think we shred them. And then we spin around 180 degrees and make a home after having just shredded an aerospace class home-size structure. If you were an extraterrestrial looking down on this behavior, you'd wonder whether this species has all its marbles in place or not. People have asked me whether it crashed here, and I simply restored the wreck. That's an odd thing to hear. It's completely impractical. Next time you're in a jetliner, close your eyes for a moment. In your mind, remove all the seats and all the other people, and then open your eyes with that vision and consider the expanse of the living room. It's a good environment, it really is.
Many Americans enjoy green bean casserole on Thanksgiving Day. This one is officially the biggest in history. It's a half-ton tray of milk, mushroom soup, green beans, and French fried onions. And it wasn't cooked up just to win the bragging rights of having a Guinness World Record. It'll help feed elderly New Yorkers who don't have family to celebrate with on Turkey Day. Total number of servings, 3,000. They're on a roll, a casserole that some would call delicious, and it makes their day their Turkey Day with Green Giant side dishes. Just add cranberry sauce, like a boss, and Jell-O if you're edgy, and beyond the pale, you've tipped the scales with record-setting veggies. Yes, it took some beans to make it. We don't know how much it cost them. Still, for fans of green bean casserole and Fridays, it's awesome. I'm Carl Zeus. We will be on air next Monday and Tuesday before the Thanksgiving holiday. We hope you're able to join us then for more CNN 10.